And the maximum temperature reading I could get in the bale directly behind the plaster was 102.
Wow. So what's the R value on that? That's serious resistance to heat flow.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And that was directly behind the plaster.
So really, that was going with the probe until it stopped moving.
Wow.
So this is
Yeah,
evidence
incredible.
that we do not need to fear climate change. We're good.
I was gonna let this rest for a second and then maybe try again on the line and we'll see what happens. But
We don't need to fear.
if anyone wants, you can come up now. Feel like this. This feels like a hot fire. Like the radiant heat coming off of this right now is really intense.
Oh yeah.
It's hundreds of degrees.
So Miles, you're gonna then find out.
Yeah.
Could you please explain the difference between the build-up on the left and the build-up on the right?
Yeah.
I can see that's permalath, and this is all clay plaster.
Yeah, so
Brown.
this is a Gold Hills. This is a native clay plaster from Southern Oregon.
Okay.
And it's got the fiber lath assembly, and this fiber lath is actually just held on with landscape staples to the
Yep.
bale. I was gonna demo how we also like tie our lath through the bale, but it would just melt off because
Right.
it's and it's just got a scratch coat that was lightly wood floated. I just threw a couple of 7/8 plaster beads on there just to hold the plaster onto the bale a little bit. Floated in a semi-typical, slightly heavier ounce mesh. I went with the green so you could kind of see the contrast more. And this side is actually just a bucket of Type S lime that I've just had sitting wet in the garage for years. And then from time to time I just bust it out, mixed in literally some sand I found just washed on the side of the road, like in a little gutter. And just floated it with some EFIS mesh. Tried to show that here's a little piece of the actual structural grade 2x2 that I get from Pacific Grading when we have to do a shear calculation in our plaster. And then here's just to show some corner aid, and then your typical stucco, woven stucco wire assembly. The lime's definitely not fully cured. It all looked like this morning as it took on some moisture from the evening's humidity, but the heat gradient across here is making this like dry out pretty quick.
Okay.
I'm surprised it's actually not cracking more.
Yeah.
I would suspect that when we switch to this side, because it's not fully cured, I'm expecting some delamination and perhaps some crumbling. Would be my expectation because it's not fully carbonized, and there's a lot of potential for expansion on this side because of its density. I was thinking that perhaps all of the straw content and clay content of the clay plaster side would cause more scarring and like potentially more spots where it would start to crumble. But actually it looks like what we're seeing here is just a firing of the clay. Like it actually looks like it's ceramicizing, or whatever the word is.
Vitrifying.
Ceramifying, yeah. And look at, now we're having, this cracking is popping up right now. It might even crack and pop off its layer by itself if we let it cool.
Is that the full layer of plaster against the straw, or is that just the top coat from the fiberglass, the green fiberglass outward?
You mean the part that's cracking and bubbling?
Well, the bubbling.
We don't know.
I know, that's what we're debating.
Yeah.
She says it's the whole assembly. I'm saying.
Well, given that they were the two layers